The inspiration for PenTips came when I dropped my Apple Pencil during a meeting that I was having with a different startup, and it made my entire Apple Pencil not work anymore. So I thought we need to put some protection on the end so that doesn't happen, because those Apple Pencils, well, in Europe, they cost over 130 euros, something like this. Really expensive. So I found some suppliers that could help me build something that could go on the end of it. And when I asked them to make a complete replaceable tip, they said that was only possible if I was to buy hundreds of thousands of pieces. Well, I just stopped being a student. I did not have that kind of money. So I was like, can we leave it, the inside, and just have like a sock kind of thing to put on the end? They said sure. They sent over some samples, some ideas that they had. And when I started testing them, they sucked. So I went back to the drawing board and I asked them, can we use these types of materials? All of a sudden, instead of just a protective coating, I had something that gave me more friction. So I went to some friends to ask them, would you use this on your iPad? And when they started working with it, like, yeah, this is pretty nice. And so I thought maybe there would be more people out there. For 10 euros in 2 weeks, I reached thousands of people. And these thousands of people liked, people commented, people shared it. And I just reached out to everybody who did and asked them why they did what they did. Like, what are they expecting to get out of it? I wasn't keen on making a sale. I just wanted to know if people liked the idea. Well, the responses were great, and I made my first sale. Well, you can imagine my excitement then. A customer came from, I believe it was Romania, and after about 5 minutes of cheering, I saw that he had canceled his order. Well, that really hurt, and so I went and emailed the customer. I'm like, hey, I don't want to persuade you or anything. I just want to understand, why did you cancel? And he said, you look like a scam. Well, I'm like, I'll give you that one, because the website was made in 30 minutes, no effort at all. We still kept in touch, and I've been emailing the customer for two years now, a year and a half, just every few months to give him some updates. And he's bought since then now, and he loves the progress that we've made. In my case, when I thought I would have something is when I would finally have a 10th customer. This isn't my first startup. Before this, I've tried 9 others, and I learned something different from all of them. So, but one of the things that I learned from them is try to find your first 10 customers. It's impossible, but once you do, then you have 10 people who have been willing to pay for a solution that you've come up with. And when that 10th customer rolled in, I was like, it finally worked. For the first time in, I don't know, 5 years of working on different startups, I finally got a 10th customer. That was really exciting. So that was the moment where I was like, oh, we finally might be onto something here. In this process of figuring out that I finally was onto something, the company looked a lot different than it did today. I was working from my apartment, but I was doing all of the packing and the labeling and the shipping all from my basement. So I had set up a little process there to be able to handle the orders. Everything would be done by hand. So I believe the first few hundred, maybe 1,000, not more than 1,000 cards were all handwritten. But I bought a label printer. I set up contracts with our shipping distributor so that we can print labels and stick them on there. And all of a sudden we had custom forms, and I didn't have to write everything by hand anymore, and I didn't have to lick postage stamps. That was painful for the tongue in the first few weeks. At a certain point, it was too much for me to be able to handle anymore. So I asked a really good friend of mine, Sebastian, who is still with us, to help out with logistics. And that meant that he would help me with packing and making sure that all the products are eventually put out. Do you want to say something to the camera, Sebastian?
Excited to be here, getting stuff done.
How many do you still got to do? Real good memories that we have of this process is at a certain point we got a shopping cart. And I live in the middle of the city, so we put the shopping cart outside of the door, and we would load big trash bags, because we were just getting significant orders still operating from the apartment, fill them up with all of the packages, and then roll them over maybe half a kilometer, like 500 meters, to the post office. And the post office is meant for people like you and I who just want to put up a simple package and ship it somewhere. They're not meant for companies that want to ship 700 products in 1 week. So we went there and they were like, yeah, we're not going to scan any of these products anymore. So on a Saturday, horrible timing to do it because everybody does what they want to do on a Saturday, we would just scan every single one of those orders to make sure that they ended up in the right bag. We would do it together, and we would be the ones operating from the post office to make sure that the packages were going everywhere. Yeah, the moment I knew I needed help was way before that, thank goodness, but it was quite an adventure with the two of us just making sure that all the packages left. Sebastian and I knew at a certain point we needed to level up. First of all, I didn't want to wake up in the office every single day. Not that I sleep in the basement, but which was my apartment at the time. Someone who's helped us since the beginning, also raised some initial funding, Robert, as also predominantly my mentor because it's the first time scaling a startup and especially going this fast. It's good to have someone help you out who has quite some experience in the field. So thank you, Robert. He also helped us out with our first office. And the reason we needed an office is we couldn't even handle the boxes anymore. The boxes that were coming into the apartment, it didn't fit. And because we moved to an office, we had some more space as well to be able to invite more people to help us out if they wanted to. And I really wanted to because it felt like an opportunity to really build out our brand. We love digital art and we want to help out with that in whatever way we can. So Emma, our head of marketing, and still is, she is a digital artist, and she helped me set up marketing for PenTips, which means that I could focus more on the product and working on the organization. It's been an extremely exciting ride, and at that point, we just couldn't fit anymore in the office, and we had to do something about that. So we did. That was insane. That was insane to experience. It was insane to get the feedback.